Hello and welcome to my bookshelf. It's been a while, but it is time for another Top 5 Wednesday. This week's topic is really unique and I'm really excited to do it. The theme is classes based on books. So I picked 5 different books so it would be perfect for 5 different, very unique classes of my choice. So an example given was, Archery 101. Hunger Games would be perfect to teach that. I kind of went all over the place with this. Some of them are serious, some of them are completely ridiculous, so just bear with me. The first 3 are pretty ridiculous, and then it gets a bit more serious in tone, so let's just start off with a completely ridiculous class, but, it would be perfect, so let's just jump on in. Alright, so the first class would be how to get rid of obnoxious children in the most creative ways possible. And of course, the best book to read for this would of course be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. I mean, can you get any more creative in ways to get rid of obnoxious children? Another cool thing is that all these children are very obnoxious in their own ways, and they all get taken care of in very unique ways to how they're obnoxious. For instance, the child that loves to eat sweets all the time, he falls into a chocolate river and gets stuck in a pipe. I mean, how perfect is this? So clearly we can gain a lot of inspiration from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Alright, so the next class that we have is Nicknames 101. So how to come up with the best and worst nicknames possible. Best and worst in terms of how cruel and unusual they are, or just sweet, awesome nicknames. So we've got mean nicknames, we've got cool nicknames, all over the place. Whatever you want. This is a class dedicated to coming up with creative and not so creative nicknames. And we've got, of course, Holes. I mean, this is the best book for teaching us how to come up with amazing nicknames. And also, like I said, really mean ones. An example, Zero. This is kind of a cool sounding nickname, right? Zero, right? Well, see, they call him Zero because he has nothing in his brain, and that's mean and bullying, so let's stay away from that one. But it's still kind of a cool nickname, but let's not bully people. So there's a lot of interesting lessons that can be learned through Holes. There's also some really creative, fun nicknames that are less mean, like Zigzag. It's got the Z's, and it's just kind of cool sounding. So perfect nickname. There's a lot of nicknames in this book. Magnet, X-ray, Armpit. That kind of goes into the mean category, but it's still a nickname. So, it's important to learn not about just the cool nicknames, but also the mean nicknames that just don't go there. And I think this book helps us to kind of parse that out, which nicknames are acceptable and which are just bullying. So, fantastic book to teach us all about nicknames. Good, bad, the ugly. Alright, next class we got for you. It's a great class, but it's going to be rather long and tedious. I'm just going to not beat around the bush about it. It's going to be long and tedious. So, of course, this is going to be the introductory course to editing/abridging 101. And, the best way to learn anything is to just practice it over and over and over again. So, of course, we're going to give you a huge book that needs editing/abridgment. And that, of course, the best book to practice on would be Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Have you seen this book? Almost 1,500 pages. And, I mean, admittedly, the plot and the story in here is amazing. It's awesome, genuinely amazing. But he kind of goes on rants about history, which, if you're anything like me, you didn't sign up to learn about history. You just didn't. I don't need to know about it. So, I think most readers would appreciate your editing skills and you're practicing editing on Les Miserables. It really needs the work. Like I said, it has an amazing book, turned into an amazing musical. It just needs a bit of abridgment. Nothing to be ashamed of, it's just how it is. And of course, the best way to practice is on an amazing novel that really, nothing's wrong with it, it just has random sections that are unnecessary. So this will be a great place to practice your editing skills. You also get bonus points if you learn and perform I Dreamed a Dream. Okay, so those were the absolutely ridiculous classes I came up with. I had a lot of fun with them, but now let's just jump into the last two that are actually serious classes. So let's just take a breather and get serious. So the next class would be something along the lines of music and literature, which isn't something that you normally see put together, but honestly, I think it's a really cool thing to learn about. I mean, music and literature both have such an impact on our lives, and they both affect the way that we feel. I honestly think that music and literature don't have to be two separate entities. I know they're two different medias, but I think it's really cool to incorporate music within your literature, and this isn't something that's done very often. It's pretty rare, but I have seen it done, and I think pretty well. With Haruki Murakami. This is kind of his call sign, to be honest. He loves mentioning music in his books to kind of set the mood and tone of the scene. He also really likes jazz music, which are actually really entertaining to listen to. So if you're generally curious about, the kind of music that's at least played in this book, I made a playlist that will link below so you can check that out. It's kind of cool, to be honest. And it really helped me be more engaged in the story in a way that I don't think you can be done without music. And, it's kind of a shame that more books don't try to incorporate music like directly within the story. And I honestly think that Murakami can teach us a lot about like the subtlety of music. It doesn't have to be some pop song. It can be more subtle, and it can just be more about like how the piece makes you feel and how it fits in with the scene that's playing out in front of us. And so I really, really enjoyed this just way of incorporating music in his work. It's really, really cool. It's definitely something unique to Murakami, but I think it's something that we can learn more about, and I think that books would benefit from like music playlists that go with them. So I'm definitely on board for learning more about this in an entire class, and then hopefully future authors will incorporate music more into their books. Okay, so the last class I have for you is an extremely serious but also really, really important class that I think that we should all take. I mean, honestly, like if you look at our society, you'll know how much we're in need of this kind of class, and that would be, of course, a class on discrimination. And I think a book that talks about it without it being such emotionally in charge that it usually is would be The House of the Scorpion by Nancy Farmer. And the reason why I say it's less emotionally charged is because we're talking about discrimination against clones, which, as far as I know, is not a thing right now. But discrimination against different racial and ethnic groups, that is a current thing. So when you have books about that, I think they're really important, absolutely. But I think they're more emotionally charged, and I feel like they tend to kind of preach to the choir. So I think people tend to pick up those books that have experienced that discrimination, and I feel like the people that are discriminating against those people, they're not really likely to pick up that book. And I think something like this would help because it's a bit more objective and it's a bit less emotionally charged because, like I said, as far as I know, no one's a clone of someone else. So there's this whole unique aspect that we could talk about discrimination in a somewhat objective way. And I just think it really would help, both sides of this craziness and absurdity that is discrimination. And I really think this highlights the absurdity of discrimination because, obviously he can't change how he was born, and obviously he had no control over it. But what makes it even more absurd is the fact that he's a clone. Like, there's absolutely nothing about him that makes him different from the person he was cloned after, like genetically speaking. Obviously he's his own person, right? But how does him having the same genetic makeup as someone else make him lesser than? It really doesn't, you know, and I think that's why this book is really good about talking about discrimination in a way that would be less emotionally charged. So that's kind of my argument for this book for that class. But I think that this, among many other books, would be great to learn more about discrimination and the cruelty and absurdity that is discrimination. And to just look at people, like human beings. We're all human beings. We should look at each other like fellow human beings instead of an us and a them. And that's just the problem. And I think the book does a really good job of exploring issues of discrimination. Alright, so I absolutely loved this Top 5 Wednesday topic. I feel bad for not participating in last month's Top 5 Wednesday at all. It's good to be back is what I'm trying to say, and I'm really excited to do them in the future as well. It's a really fun video to have, and it's something to post every week, and it's just a really good thing. So I'm hoping to keep up with it more, and I'm really excited to see what everyone else comes up with this. It's just a really fun topic. So, as always, I just want to thank you for watching my video, and until next time.